Hello, it's Annie with Research, Resell, Repeat, coming to you from my soon to be more tidy office. Anyway, a few weeks ago, I did a video saying that you should only ship things internationally directly, not using the global shipping program. And I stand by that. But I wanted to add a little bit more information that's actually relevant to any international shipping, whether it's through the global shipping program on eBay or just general international shipping of goods through eBay or any other platform that reaches internationally, which most don't. But um, there are a few caveats to what you can send in the mail, and I just wanted to point them out because there's a few that I find affect me from time to time, and I'll tell you what I do about that. So, general premise is every country in the world has mailing regulations, and every country in the world prohibits the import of certain items and categories of items through the mail for economic and political reasons. There are just a few categories you might run into that you might want to be careful about. And if you are based in the US, you can go to the United States Postal Service website, and in the fabulous Postal Explorer section, you can find this huge list here of countries and what their mailing regulations are. And you're obviously not going to read this because it's insane. But it is good to know that every country in the world has its own mailing regulations. And I'll just show you a few quick examples and a few things that are sort of interesting. Like, here's France, and you can't send them guns and stuff, like all the obvious things, but or funeral urns or feeding bottles. Can't send them fake French stuff. Can't send them human remains, live plants or animals. Measuring instruments marked in units not complying with French law. Saccharin, kind of interesting what different countries disallow. Here's China. You can't, you can't send animals and bits of animals and all that and dangerous stuff and fresh fruit and edible birds' nests and meat and, obvious suspects, toxic substances. But what I thought was kind of interesting is that you are not technically supposed to send wristwatches, cameras, television sets, radio sets, tape recorders, bicycles, sewing machines, or ventilators to China. Interesting. Good to know. Clear, economic policy at work there. Here's Canada. Can't send any alcohol. Can't send feathers, plumage of wild birds. Replica or inert munitions, so not just real guns. Some vaping stuff. Anything that's flammable, etc. For Russia, similar, all the usual suspects. And then can't send anything that incites terrorism. You can't send indecent and immoral items, which strikes me as rather subjective. Anything that's going to propagate hate or porn or Nazism or anything against the political and economic interests of Russia, etc. So that's the kind of stuff. Oh, here's the UK. Same. Can't send asbestos. Can't send frozen food. You can't send bags of ice. I know you were selling bags of ice to the UK, weren't you? Indecent and obscene art again. Medicines, waste, dirt, filth, or refuse, including household waste or rubbish. Stun guns, soiled clothes. You get the idea. It's all common sense. But I think that there are certain things that are prohibited by countries that I do try to sell and previously would have sold internationally had I not figured this all out. So the best way to get a list of a kind of amalgamates as best it can things that are not good to send in the mail overseas is actually on the eBay global shipping page, regardless of whether you're using global shipping or not. So here's the global shipping program main page. You can get to it via Google or eBay help. And if you scroll down, there's this eligibility section, and this third tab here, prohibited items, is what I find useful. So of course you can't send or sell anything that is generally prohibited on eBay, but on top of that, the international restrictions are stricter. So obscene material and child pornography and hate propaganda. Okay, I think those are prohibited anyway. Narcotics. So you can't send currency via the global shipping program, which is interesting. If you are selling that, like, perhaps as a collector capacity, you will want to check on a per country basis what the restrictions are. Some have them, some don't. Some have restrictions where it's just that country's currency you can't sell. So check that out. Weapons, yeah. But interestingly, knives apparently even means like kitchen knives. I actually had a listing taken down for like a little kitchen chopper thing. It's like a crinkle cutter, and they said I can't be selling that to Europe because you cannot ship knives to Europe of any sort. So that's good to know. We know we can't sell tobacco and this biological specimens, perishable liquids, blah blah blah. Stuff that's going to blow up, animals, human body parts. Plants is good to note. I mean, it's kind of common sense, but you can't, there's all kinds of non-indigenous species problems with sending plants across borders, as strangely artificial as that is. So if you sell plants, keep it domestic. Batteries, this is not for your everyday consumer electronic stuff, so don't worry about that. And alcohol of any sort, and note that there is alcohol in perfumes and some cosmetics, which we'll get to in a second. But so don't even go there at all, even if it's not the alcohol you drink. Furs and fur clothing are restricted in enough places that you probably just don't want to offer them internationally. Jewelry and gold and other precious metals are restricted some places and not others. So if you are shipping directly, you'll want to check out what countries are problematic for that, and perhaps only allow buyers from certain countries. Like I wouldn't try to make an exception list. I'd try to make a accepted list. So maybe only sell jewelry to a few countries that are often buyers and in which that isn't an issue. Let's see. Fine arts, this is a global shipping thing more than a general international thing. But do check with the individual countries again, and I would say again, maybe only sell them to certain countries, perhaps ones that would specifically have an interest, like if you're selling a Chinese painting or pottery or whatever, double check that whatever it is okay for China, and maybe offer it for sale domestically and in China, something like that. This one is relevant to me, cosmetics, including perfume. I do sell a lot of vintage perfume, and you can't send it anywhere. I mean, you can even ship it anyway except ground in the US. So it is very restrictive. Um, but yeah, when I started out, I did have a sale for some perfume in France or England, and I had to cancel it, and it was all very sad. It actually worked out okay. The buyer was coming to the U.S. in several months or something, and had a friend I could ship it to domestically, and they made arrangements. So they did get it in the end. But just be aware, you cannot send perfume to Europe or anywhere that's not domestic to the U.S. from the U.S. Um, the other things are kind of obvious, like compressed air and gas and crossbows, and seeds could be relevant. I know a lot of people sell seeds on eBay. Chemistry sets, you know, who has that many, but it's a thing I might sell. Can't do that overseas. This one is a pretty common thing, nutraceuticals and nutritional supplements. If you think about it, it's really obvious, like international regulations and the US's complete lack of regulation on that stuff, why there would be problems internationally with selling that. But it would be something I wouldn't think twice about until, well, I read this list. So yeah, no vitamins and herbs, and yeah, plant fertilizers. Okay, so I recommend this list to get your brain um, steeped in the things you should not send internationally. Again, it's on the global shipping program page. And so what you should do about this is, when you're listing something like a kitchen chopper or perfume, or like a letter opener with looks like a knife or whatever, just change your shipping to be only US, or only US plus whatever countries you have looked into and deemed safe for said item. I actually have a shipping policy set up that's called something like like use for knives, or I don't know. It's I have a shipping policy set up that is specifically for these kind of restricted items, and I use it for generally knife type things and for perfume and cosmetics that I know I can't ship internationally. And it's just easier that way. I mean, it's sad that you don't have the worldwide scope for those things, but international safety is important and all that. And airplanes not blowing up is also important. So, okay. So that's just a little bit further into international shipping, whether you do it by the GSP or directly yourself through eBay or Pirate Ship or another platform, or anything, sending stuff to your friends in other countries. So there we go. Hope that's helpful. Thanks. Bye.